Hashem. Yatzivu Yus Yeshua Hashem. Oto Akum Mashiach. Oto Akum Mashiach.
We're sitting here at the Jewish Recovery Center annual retreat. Shabbos just ended a little less than an hour ago, and we're still on a high from Shabbos. The retreat's continuing to tomorrow into the day, and wow, it's just been an incredible experience.
This is our 4th year at the Recovery Retreat, and it is something that only gets better and better with every year.
One of the great things that happens over the course of this weekend, we're talking about awareness for people who are struggling themselves, awareness for families, awareness for the larger communities. So it's really nice to see that the observant community is, the numbers are growing. So the awareness is growing within the observant community. I think that that's incredibly significant.
It was really beautiful watching the energy in the room and how the people from different walks of life and from around the country, many different backgrounds, just coming together, supporting each other, and trying to help each other through this experience.
The ambiance allows for people to be who they are. It allows for people to ask for help. It allows for people to give encouragement and tell their stories and just be very real. And I feel privileged to be part of it.
This has become this real hub to be reminded that we're part of a vibrant community of Jewish people in recovery that's really recovering and helping others and being of service, and that it's we're part of lamplighters. We're just lighting lamps along the way, and it's really powerful.
It's really amazing the way we see Hashgacha Pratis in such a revealed way, when all these people come together with such positive energy for one focus and one positive goal.
It's a time not only to be inspired and to be reflective, but it's definitely a time to look around and say, this is something that affects every single home. This is something that affects our entire community, the entire nation, and we are all a part of this. And we need to be there for each other. We need to be at these kind of events to show support, and we need to realize that this is everyone's issue.
This afternoon we participated in a group where people were sharing their stories, and at the end of the story, a young man who had shared got up and in front of the whole group hugged his mother. And it's very hard to describe the emotions of what everybody's feeling in that room, but when you hear the tragedy of his story and how for so many years he had isolated his family, didn't have much of a relationship there, that's the kind of stuff that really tugs at your soul strings.
You see the power of just one recovering addict talking to another, and stuff like this is happening left and right all over. Just one connection, one person, one neshama to another. It's an incredible place to be.
There are many great moments that happen outside of the rooms, outside of the meetings, outside of the formal program, so to speak. There are things that are happening in these little, micro conversations all throughout this weekend that are really tremendous. Things that nobody will ever know what they are.
The JRC is a forerunner, is a leader, is a model for this respectful, sensitive, and very direct way to approach the disease of addiction. How it plays out in families, how it plays out in couples, how it plays out with adolescents and their parents, all the different dynamics.
Even if two people have stumbled and are trying to regain their footing, they can help each other even if they're both on the ground. And I think that's what this weekend is all about. It's about people, not that you have, a sage on the stage, this wise man who's never sinned and never, done anything wrong, so to speak. But no, it's talking about regular people who are all dealing with the same issues. Two of them may be struggling, but they're struggling together. And that's what this beautiful weekend is all about, and I'm really honored. It was a pleasure to participate here.
Oftentimes addicts feel like the way that they're living is the only way that's possible. It's the best option available to them. And much of recovery is being enlightened to a new way of seeing things. It's oftentimes framed as a new pair of glasses, a new lens through which to see things. And so the addict doesn't know that he has options. The addict or the alcoholic doesn't realize that there's another way, even though sometimes people outside have a hard time understanding that. Isn't it obvious? But if you would know how they felt, if you know what it felt like to be uncomfortable in your skin 24 hours a day, you might also not feel like there's another way out.
I can't say that I know too many programs that have been so dedicated to integrating the community, the subculture of recovery into the community at large. And I heard Rabbi Kessler speak about it very, very definitively today and very proudly. And it's so important for the subculture of addiction to not only use the support and continue the relationships within the subculture, but really branch out, because who knows when people within the community at large come in contact with some kind of challenge that involves addiction, this disease that is highly treatable and allows people, when they go through treatment and they go through recovery and they connect basically with other recovering people, to live not just normal lives but enhanced lives. This is a tremendous paradox.
It's a very special mission that JRC has, which is to really, it's not just to really normalize the disease of addiction, because it's not really what the retreat is about per se. It's really about normalizing a life of recovery. It's a celebration of recovery. And what's unique about this retreat and what makes it very premier is that it's really a space that's welcome for anybody really at any phase of recovery and anybody that's really affected by recovery. It's very special and it's very unique, and there's not a sense that like we're operating in a subculture. There's none of that, which is very unique. You don't really find that in other places. It's really kind of like an embrace of the beauty of what recovery is and how wonderful it is, and a real respect. And that, I think, allows JRC to kind of stretch the limits of what's kind of regular operation.
I would love to see, Chabad rabbis of other communities participate in retreats like this, because there have to be people within their own communities that are struggling with addiction. And it would put them in such a better position to be supportive. Sometimes even it would put them in a position to notice things that you wouldn't notice unless you had this awareness. So I would love to see a greater participation of community leaders, of rabbis, of educators, to come and to educate themselves about this disease, to educate themselves about addiction. The other aspect of it is that, and maybe this sounds a little bit hardcore, but there is something in recovery for everyone. Recovery is powerful not only for the addict, but for anyone. To live a life where you have a conscious connection with God, to live a life where you're taking stock spiritually, where you're making amends, to live a life of gratitude, to live a life where you have positive affirmations. I mean, these are all principles that people who are studying Chassidus are familiar with these concepts. Maybe not with the same jargon, but these are things that we ought to be doing. And so there is a refreshing language here that could help anyone. Even the normies could benefit incredibly from participating in a retreat like this.
An addict or an alcoholic who's living a life of recovery is living free. And they're a hero because they're living fully, and they're fully taking care of themselves, and they're living a fully actualized life. And it's something that anyone can learn from. The fact that they don't use one day at a time, which is critically important, is like the least part. In recovery, they say that the using or the drinking is a symptom of an underlying problem. An individual in recovery in general, can be celebrated because they're addressing the underlying problem. And the underlying problem that recovery identifies is an inner existential and spiritual void. And that's something that everybody, or many people, grapple with. And it's a journey that takes time and energy, but even while you're on that path, you never, not for one moment, have to be alone. There'll be people there for you that will encourage and support you and can show you the way. And I think that's kind of like what you get here, because you come here and you really have a sense that you're not alone. You know, the individuals that come here that are in recovery, I think they walk away feeling like I am part of something. I am part of a broader community of recovery, a Jewish community of recovery. When they go back to LA, they go back to New York, they stay here in South Florida, and they're kind of like linked by all these different things.
I've been to a lot of retreats, I've been to a lot of events, Shabbatons all over, but I want to tell you something, there's nothing like the Jewish Recovery Center annual Shabbaton. It's in a class all by itself. The sharing, the camaraderie, the openness, the bonding, there's nothing else like it in the entire world.
After 6 years of coming, some of these people are people that I know now for 6 years, and the success stories and the passing it on quality of the folks that get help and then keep coming back because they are now people that are the providers of help to newcomers is just a beautiful, beautiful flow. It's a tremendous dynamic, and to be part of it is a gift.
This is the premier retreat for families, individuals facing addiction in any which way, professionals that want to learn about addiction, or just other individuals. A lot of like rabbis and shluchim that came, and they only came because they're encountering individuals in recovery and they don't understand recovery, and they know that they can come down here and spend a Shabbos with individuals in recovery so they can go back to wherever. One guy was from Connecticut, another guy was from somewhere else up north, and to really go back and be of usefulness to those people, and that's like really special. That doesn't really exist in other places, and God willing should be continue to develop and grow in that regard.
Mashiach